Hello, welcome back to Taking Trades. Well, it looks like natural gas futures have hit a support level that we discussed in yesterday's video, and I want you to jump down in the comments real quick. Let me know how you traded this drop in price action. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you a screenshot of how the colder weather is progressively moving south. Then I'm going to break down the charts regarding today's price action on natural gas, UGAZ, and DGAZ. And then at the end of this video, if you stay tuned, I'm going to show you one of my stocks that I trade and how I buy the dips and add small size to my position for longer term growth. This small size strategy is super simple and helps me manage the ups and downs when trying to build a position. Let's begin. So first off, I want to thank natgasweather.com for this beautiful graphic of the progressing Arctic blast. You can see the super cold temps are now dumping down into Texas and spreading further east when compared to yesterday's graphic. Now naturally, this is going to kick up demand in natural gas, and the question becomes, will this affect gas prices, or has the cold weather already been priced in? More experienced futures traders tell me that what matters is the 7 to 14 day forecast. So I want to show you that right now on natgasweather.com. Okay, so we've got natgasweather.com, the 15-day low temperature forecast. And the way that I find this is I just come over here to the weather maps. You can go to the 15-day highs or 15-day lows. And I've got the 15-day lows up right now. And then what it does is it kind of walks you through day 1 through day 15. So I just wanted to show those to you real quick, and you can see that our demand right now is very high, and this is through November 12th through the 18th. So this is working out through this week and into the weekend, but the question becomes, what price action and weather, what combination is baked into natural gas right now? And if we're looking at the next few days, like I just showed you in that weather map, that may already be baked in, and what we have to look at is the next 7 to 15 days, which is what we'll do here. So if you just look at day 1 here, we got low temps. You can kind of see the cluster in here, and then you can kind of see where temperatures are easing and how in the southeast we're warm and the southwest we're warm. And then as I kind of scroll through these, you can see how we do get some flushing out. We get the warmer weather moving further southeast, colder temps coming in, Midwest is getting hit a little bit, and then as we progress, you can see it then turning and moving up into the northeast. Florida looks like it's warming a little bit further up, but overall the temperatures are down a little bit from 79 to 72. And then you can see it's a little mottled in the southwest. We go to day 4, things are getting pushed further. You still have this green band along the coast. It's still mottled, little warm areas in the southwest, and then some easing in that deep chill area in the Midwest and kind of up here in the north near the Canadian border. So easing a little bit. Then you see that cold purple retreating up to the Great Lakes and up into the northern part of New York and up into the northern part of Maine. And then as we keep pushing through, we're getting almost a week out. That cold purple blob is now moving off to the northeast. Here it is. That's all that's left of it. Little bit of purple here up in the western side of Wyoming. And then we keep pushing down. We're getting a little more mottled, warmer temperature into California and through the southwest, but you can see Florida still holding in those low 70s, and you're still getting a little green band of warmth along the coast, which typically is expected. And then we keep progressing out to day 8. We're getting some colder temps, but it's kind of up where that blob went back into Canada. Come back out to day 9. And it's nice because you can just kind of see the progression of how things are working and how things are going. Cold up here, but a little bit of easing down through this little band right in through here. And then the south is staying in the 50s. But then you can see Florida dipping down into the high 60s, which is a little colder than in the previous few slides. Back to 73 for Florida. Sort of some more of the same. You can see a little purple in northern Maine. We go out through day 11. You can still see this band through here. We're getting cold on this side, cold on this side, and then this little band of a couple little warm pockets, if you want to call them that. But then Florida back to 75, still a little warmth here in the southwest. We move through. Now we're getting a little more green through Texas, a little more warming up through here, and then Florida is 70s to low or to upper 60s. and then we just keep pushing out, but it's just overall kind of settling into more of the same, a lot of in the 30s for the lows. And so what that would mean comparative to right now is this is almost showing that we're going to get a little bit warmer over the next 7 to 14 days than we would be if we go back to day one. Right now we're getting that deep chill. So it's interesting because we have the deep chill now, which makes people think, oh, we're going to turn on natural gas and there's going to be more demand, which is true. But I have a feeling like some of this temperature is maybe baked in. And now that we're looking out 14 days on the horizon, we're seeing things kind of just stabilizing, still cool. People are still using their heaters, but it's not a hard-hitting cold blast right now that we're seeing within these 14 days, because if we go back to the day 14 and 15, you know, it's eased up. These really, really chilly areas are now getting their lows into right around freezing or even just a little above freezing for most of the United States. With that, let's jump over to the charts and break down today's price action on UGAZ and DGAZ. All right, natural gas futures. December 2019, we've got the daily time frame up, and I've got all our lines and our blobs and everything here for us to take a peek. And I just want to break down the price action going on today and then reference yesterday's video and talk about how things are kind of playing out. So as you see, we had that push up, we got rejected off there. Then as we started to settle in here, we got kind of into a support level or a buying zone. Then we gapped down hard and just sold off. We blew right through the bottom of the gap, which was down here at that 2.7 area. And we came crashing all the way down. And remember, we talked about yesterday that if we broke down through this level, we could possibly see some more support at the 50 simple moving average and the 20 simple moving average. Now, they've come together, which in my experience makes them a little stronger when they're together. And you can see that this wick stopped right on top of that and then backed off it. So it showed a little respect for the support. Then today we opened up and we've been up and down and back, and we've settled in right on top of the 50 and 20 simple moving averages. So this makes me very encouraged that there could be the possibility of more upside coming if this support level holds. Now, we talked before, if it does break down even further, then I'm going to draw a line here, and this could represent the possibility of where the next support level could possibly be. And again, just my opinion, but it sort of looks like we could be in this area. And let me go ahead and adjust that a little bit. I'm just going to make it solid. Right in this area, which seems to be right around that 2.52 area, this could be, or even maybe just above that 2.55. This looks like a possible next support level if we were to break down below these simple moving averages. So right now we're dojiing big time. Got a nice tall wick, nice lower wick, and then we've got this tiny little doji body, which is showing slowing and selling and slowing and buying, because we've been both directions right now. Now we're settling in on top, and then tomorrow, if we start to get price action moving back to the upside, that would be a very bullish sign. But if we gap down and get below these moving averages, that would be very bearish. That would be bullish for DGAZ, however. And then I'm thinking that the next support level would possibly be right around this 2.55 area, so we would be watching for that. If we do get that break back above into the channel and we stay above this channel bottom, there's a very good likelihood that we would move up at least to the 200 simple moving average, and we'd look for resistance there, followed by resistance here at the 2.78-ish level right in here, and then beyond that, being here at the 2.885 is our next resistance. So resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3, resistance 4. There's 4 levels there. And then we've got support 1 and support 2. So 2 support levels that I'm looking at right now and 4 overhead resistance levels. So we'll see how things play out. We'll watch things again tomorrow, and I'll check in with you guys on price action again in the morning. So now what I really want to do is jump from this over to UGAZ and take a peek at this one as well. So we've got our lines drawn in. This one's a little more confusing because just not as much price action as the futures market. But you can see below we drew our support level. So we've got one support level below us. We're setting on the 20. That looks like it's holding support. But the issue with UGAZ right now is we're below the 50 like we had talked about yesterday. So we've got resistance here.
We've got resistance from this zone that we talked about the other day, and then we've got resistance from the 200, and we could possibly have resistance from the top where this turned around to go back down. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 5 overhead resistance zones or sticking points to work through. And we have 1, 2 support levels. So the 20 is holding right now. It'd be nice if we could get above the 50 and hold there and then work our way back up through this channel. But for right now, we've got more resistance above us than below us, but we do have 2 support levels that we can look to possibly add small share size to if that's what you think is right for your trades. Now, if we look at DGAZ, DGAZ is showing that big pop up. It cleared that channel, and now it's settling right in here. So we're looking like we're getting support off the top of the channel right in here, and we've got resistance points here and here. So those are 1, 2, and then we also had a line up here, so 3. So it looks like 3 decent resistance levels above, and 1, 2, and possibly 3 right in here, support areas below. So I like how this is setting up on top of the channel. If that's enough to hold with respect to the natural gas futures market, then it could possibly work further to the downside, which would not be as good for UGAZ, but good for DGAZ. So just to give us one last reference on natural gas, we'll just peek over here real quick, and you can see there's our channel. We're below it, but we're setting up on a nice support level right here. We'll see if it holds. If it does, I'm looking for a push back up into this area where I could possibly take profits if I were holding UGAZ shares and wanted to trim a little just because we're at an overhead resistance zone. Always good to take a little profit at resistance zones and trying to add back to your position at support zones if that's what's appropriate for your trades. So with natural gas wrapped up, I want to show you a live example of one of my trades. I mentioned this earlier. I wanted to go ahead and jump into this and show you how I add small size to my position in order to build a long-term position in my portfolio, or a position of a share size of 100 so that you could sell options contracts against it. So let's jump over real quick.
Now I just want to take a quick second just to remind you guys not to ever take a trade based solely on my opinion. This channel is all about my opinions and what I like to do in the markets. And I like to show you examples of my trades, but I also like to just talk about the markets in general. So breaking down a stock or ETF or ETN doesn't mean that I'm buying or selling that stock, ETF, or ETN. It's just my analysis and my opinion on what the price action is doing, combined with weather and news that's currently happening surrounding that commodity or security. So just keep that in mind when watching these videos. All right, let's jump back into it.
And the stock I'm referring to is actually Facebook. And you can see, I'm just going to show you what I've been up to on this. And you can see in here that back in August, if I highlight, so just so you guys know, on Thinkorswim, if you turn your trades on, it puts these bubbles in and it shows you where you've bought. So any green blob is a buy, any red blob is a sell. I currently don't have any red blobs on here right now, but so if you go back to here, and it looks like August 28th, I saw price action trickling down, and I saw that it had touched a couple of times in this area. So it was setting up sort of a line right across here, and so I went ahead and I bought 5 shares at 181.50. And then I just held it and I watched it, and it pushed up, and as long as it was pushing up, I'm just leaving it alone. I'm just along for the ride, and I was green on the trade, so I'm just going to let it go. But then we got this pullback, and the pullback came down and touched this 20 simple moving average. Now, I'm always talking about simple moving averages and how I like to add small size to my positions when I hit those areas of support. I considered this an area of support because the tail touched it, and then price action moved away from it. It respected that level. So I went ahead and I added 10 more shares at 185.13. So I'm getting my cost basis set up nicely. I'm kind of getting snuggled into the position. We got a push up higher, pullback, pushed up higher. I thought, okay, if this breaks out, I'm going to leave it alone and see what happens. But we sort of triple topped. 1, 2, 3, and then sold off hard. Now in this hard sell-off, we are back below these levels. This is an over-exaggerated day. So I went ahead and I added 35 shares at 182.20. Then we had a green day. I thought, okay, maybe we'll bounce back up, but we didn't. We dropped again. I bought 25 more here. We dropped again, and then we showed a doji. During this day, it was dojing, and I thought maybe this would be the bottom, and now we'll start to move higher. So I went ahead and I added 25 more. We got a quick drop. I liked that I was just above the 200 simple moving average because that acts as support. And I liked that the 200 simple moving average was moving across the screen from left to right, moving upward, showing bullish sentiment. We didn't get the bounce. We dropped again and then quickly recovered. I didn't add here because I was going to watch to see if it was going to go lower, but then we got a surprise big green day. Then it started working its way up, and I just didn't think about it. I just left it alone. In hindsight, during this drop down into the SMAs again, would have been a good add, but I didn't. It popped, pulled back, popped, pulled back, popped, and then as it pulled back in here, it just sort of started to hang on the 20 again. So I added 5 more shares and said, I'm going to watch and see what happens. Then we had a doji, and this day was very exciting in here because what happened was it dropped. Then by the end of the day, it pulled back up and it sat right on the 20 in this beautiful bullish doji, and I said, perfect. We got a little hammer candle. I'm going to add 5 more, and today as it opened, I added the 5 more, and then we got a nice push up away from that level. So I'm just adding small size whenever we get pullbacks and dips and things, just so that I can be comfortable with my cost basis. So if I open up my active trader, I can show you guys that I'm long right now 110 shares on Facebook with an average cost basis of 181.56. Now, in addition to this, what I've been doing, and you'll see this number down here, what I've been doing is now that I have 100 shares of it, I can sell 1 cash secured, cash covered call, and that's an options contract. So you have to sell options contracts in share size of 100 shares at a time. That's 1 contract. So I've been repeatedly selling cash covered calls on this position, and because of that, I get paid per share if the contract expires worthless. And so I went ahead and I've been doing that since I've entered this position, since I've accumulated 100 shares. And what that's done for me is my average price is 181.56, but because I've been selling cash covered calls and getting paid premium, it's pushed my break-even point down to 174.45 in that area. So right now, as long as I stay above 175-ish, I'm in the green. My break-even would be all the way down here. So it helps as price moves up and you sell cash covered calls, it moves price down. So they sort of separate from each other as you go. You're not just stuck at 181.56 forever. You can actually keep dropping your break-even point by selling options premium, and in my case, cash covered calls. So I thought you guys would find this interesting. I just wanted to show you one of my trades, show you an example of how I buy the dips, how I add small size to my position. And don't worry, I'm not going to say the word nibble anymore. Everybody made it clear they don't want to hear the word nibble. So adding small size to my position, this is what I've done. This is a perfect example of how I do that and what I've been talking about in reference to UGAZ when I was saying buying small pieces so that when you do get the big drops, like for example, on this day, this huge drop, that would scare the heck out of me if I would have just bought 1,000 shares here. But I didn't. I was only 15 shares long. So to get a big drop like that is a buying opportunity. It's a signal to me to say, okay, we just got a discount. I'm going to add a little bit. And it doesn't mean that I add 1,000 shares here. It just means that I add a little bit, and I added 35. Because then I got this green push, and then we fell again. You don't know where you're going to end up falling, but the long game being that if you're looking at quality companies or you're looking at commodities that are very popular and that are profitable and moving in the right direction and have demand, then you can go ahead and you can get comfortable in a position by limping in. I like to say limping because it's just little bits of shares, and you have to exercise a lot of patience when you're doing this, because if you don't and you just jump in too quickly, You could be 1,000 shares long right here at 186, and then what are you thinking when you're down here at 174 with 1,000 shares long? You're going to be hurting really bad. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your share size small, and this strategy just allows me to not feel the pain, because I could buy 5 shares and wait a month. Buy 5 shares and wait a month. I take so much time when I do this that when I get presented with situations where I get a discount, I always have reserve funds because I've been buying very small. So see if this helps you guys. It's really helped me. If you have questions about my small sizing strategy, just let me know. It's a pretty basic thing that a lot of people do, but it just helps you not irrationally jump into the market, because I've had situations in the past where I've bought larger size and then the next day a news article comes out and a stock drops heavily. Well, if you only had bought 5 or 10 shares, you don't really care about that news article. You just say, oh, it's a discount, I'm going to buy a few more shares. And then your cost basis drops significantly if you still like the company. So hope this was valuable. Hope you guys are green. Leave questions below, and we'll see you tomorrow.